Start of the jigsaw puzzle. I never pulled this apart. Twin turbo 200 series V8. So the first thing I want to do is clean all these ports out, all the oil ports. It's pretty important. Make sure they're all clean. Second thing, I have to find the squirters for the pistons. All 4 of them. They are in these bags somewhere. Or a box or something. This block is being machined 1 mil oversize. It was originally making a pretty hectic noise. I believe the rear cylinders were the worst. It got dusted, so it wore the bores, wore the pistons, the rings, all that sort of stuff. So apparently we've got 1 mil oversized pistons and rings, and the bores are being machined 1 mil oversize. So all the heads have been done. Got new valves in them. I'm going to make sure that crank, which is in behind there, make sure that all those where it runs on the bearings, make sure they're all spotless. So I've got my beers set up in the angle here, pretty important. First things first, not off to a good start because the oil squirters for the pistons and bores, I can't find them in the bags that we've got here, which is one of the first things we have to do just after everything gets cleaned. So I can't find them. So we're not off to a good start. One VD engine rebuild. This one's out of a 200 series, so it's got the twin turbo. Big job, especially the fact that I didn't pull it apart and someone else did, and I have to try and find everything and put it back together the same way it came apart, which is a little bit of fun. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. Time consuming, but this is what I do. Not saying I'm perfect in every manner in regards to rebuilding stuff, so there might be a few things that people disagree with, but it's going to work hopefully in the end. And hopefully the customer's pretty happy with the end result. So the first thing I want to do here is put your oil squirters in. 4 of them. You can't get these wrong, they're all the same. So I found the bolts for the oil squirters, for these ones. They're actually a 5mm Allen key head. Still a 6mm thread by 1, M6 by 1. They're a little bit shorter, which I'm happier with. So I'm going to screw them in. I couldn't find torque specs on these, so I'm going to run with general torque specs on a M6 into steel It's about 10 Newton meters, so I'm gonna stick them in at 10 Newton meters and run with that. Shouldn't need any Loctite or anything silly like that. I don't believe in Loctite. Every bolt has its certain tension, and it causes less grief in the future. Pretty important one is the main bearing for your crankshaft. So you've got 3 skinnier ones and 2 thicker ones. Thicker ones go on the outside. Thinner ones, the 3 thinner ones go on the inside. But you've got a variation in the bearings themselves. So with these ones, you'll notice there's a groove in the middle of them. It allows the oil to flow through. And then you've got ones that are flat. So they're completely flat all the way through. So the ones with the groove, they actually go into the block itself. The ones with no groove go onto your bearing caps. So that's pretty important. So the crankshaft has been sitting for a bit and there was a little bit of rust. Just surface rust sitting on it. The main journals and the big end journals were a little bit not perfect, so these 3 at the end, the ones I haven't cleaned, the rest are the ones I've cleaned. Basically how I did that is I've got a ruler width of 1200 grit sandpaper, so just your standard ruler. Tore that off and I made it shiny like that. You don't want any restriction on this due to the fact that there's such tight clearances on these ones. So these 3 I still have to finish. So I've cleaned out the crankshaft, got the bearings in the block. So next step, you might ask, is what do we do? I'll polish your crank journals, make sure they're all nice and clean. Put the main bearings in. Next step is let's lubricate the main bearings. Now what I use is this engine assembly lube. Now it's grey, so there's a benefit and disbenefit with this. So the benefit is the fact that this lube actually provides proper lube when you're cranking the engine over. It usually takes a long time to crank over and get the fuel to get up to the engine for it to fire up and get the oil pressure. The disbenefit is the fact that it actually leaves a grey residue throughout the oil. So the oil turns out after a first start up to 1,000 kilometres, it actually looks grey, the oil. So that's sort of the disbenefit about it. But if you keep your oil changes up, that will eventually disappear. So it looks bad initially, as if there's something wrong with the engine because your oil's dirty. But this lube, I've used it in all the engine rebuilds I've done, and it's worked quite well. So I'm going to use this lube and put it on the main bearings and then throw the crankshaft in. So the crankshaft's in. Next step, I want a bit of this lube on the thrust bearings. So you've got two little sections here, and then that one's flat. You want to throw, I'm going to put a bit of lube on each side. But the ones with the cutouts, you want to put in towards the inner edge. So again, same thing. Those cutouts towards the inner edge. Second one's a bit tight to get in. There we go, there's your thrust bearings. So your main bearings have numbers and arrows on them. This one's number 1, forwards. It's got the thicker cap in it. So that goes number 1, forwards. This one's number 2, it's got the skinnier one. 2 forwards. And so on, and you just go from there. So I've done my plastic gauge on all the bearings after I tension them down with old bolts. It's running at about 0.064 millimeters. The maximum it states in the book is 0.06, so we're pretty close. I'm going to run with that. So I've got the new bolts in. Retension this down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're the inners bolt A's. 35 Newton meters. $60 Newton meters for the ones in the middle. So when it comes to tensioning, torque to yield it's called. So it's the angle. So I've got
90 on the inners, 90 on the outers, then I think another 90 on the inners, and then these other ones are about 57 Newton meters. What do I do? I haven't got my white paint marker, it's usually white that I use. I'll mark all in the same direction, so as I know which ones I haven't done. So bolt 8, 90. So you probably can't see it, those marks that were pointing that way, or that way, sorry, on this side, are now all pointing that way, so I know I've done them. The marks on these ones, they were pointing in, they're all pointing that way now. So I know I've done them. And bolt B, 90 degrees as well. So I'm counting in my head how many I've done. So that's 6, so that means all these ones are done. Just something I do. So that turns nice and smooth, just with one hand. That's a crank in. Gonna have to wait a little bit. The machinist didn't put the small ends in the conrods, so he'll have to go and do that before I put the pistons in.